You know, first of all, I'm gonna tell you, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Our guys aren't perfect, but that's the very first thing when someone told me that happened. That's the first thing I addressed after the game. I don't like it simply because I want total focus on the main thing, and I think when those things happen, it's going to be talked about. It's going to. I'm not on social media, but Tom and Mary Carter and them obviously keep me aware of it. But I also understand that I'm not out there an hour before the game with a student body, and I'm sure there's some things that are being said. But we also tell our guys we need them to control their emotion throughout the game, and I think they did that. And sometimes when the game's over like that, you let it out, and it happens. But do I like that? When I was a kid, I probably would have, but I'm not a kid anymore. And as a coach and older now, I just want to play the game, and I want our guys to learn from it. But again, I understand emotion, I understand competition. But like I said, they were out there for a good hour before the game, and they hear a lot, and that's part of what makes college basketball what it is. And it's just some people, you call it friendly competition, but it is competition, and emotions can run high at times.
Steve?
When you first moved Jordan down to a bench role, you had kind of said after that game that maybe he hadn't had basically kind of the adversity some of the other players had just in terms of your coaching and stuff. How did he initially react to the assignment, and how was he kind of adjusted since?
Well, in reality, I didn't move him there. He moved himself there, in reality. And you know what, and I said it before, you know, Jordan's one of those guys that he is going to try to do everything he can to do the right thing all the time. But sometimes you can also, you know, it's like being a good kid in class, you never do anything wrong, but you can do more. And that's what we thought as a coaching staff, that we had to get him to understand there's so much more that he can do. Not just do enough to get by and think he's keeping everybody happy. And where I would say that him doing that, and again, even though he's coming off the bench, he and Lamonte, I'm telling you, those guys are starters. They really are. And but he embraced it, and the fact that you know, we said you got to. There's more in that tank, and you got to get it out. You got to get it out, and I think he's really trying to do that. And
just to clarify, you said he moved himself there. It wasn't a case where he
was just holding the line.
Okay.
He was complacent to where he was, and again, we kept telling him there's more there. There's more there, and he's got to find a way to get it, and he wasn't changing, so we said, okay, we're going to see if we can do something. And but I think he's responded to answer your question extremely well.
Mike, Grant, and Troy.
Rick, where's Lamonte at conditioning-wise right now? Are you happy where he is, and how much more do you think he has to improve in that area right now?
You know what? I think conditioning-wise, is he 100%? I don't think he's close. He's close, but I think in terms of just game, you know, competition, that's where he's still fighting to get back or working to get back, and he will, because he's older. It'd be a little bit different if he were younger, but because he's got such a love for the game and he's competitive, he still has to get back to being more disciplined defensively and even offensively, and that's just going to come from playing to where, you know, he's been away from it. He's played 3 games now, but I think conditioning-wise, he's okay.
Obviously, there are expectations all summer into the preseason. Why do you think your team has handled success expectations so well at this point? And do you think they like being targeted?
Well, I think that they, again, I said it a year ago. From January on, we were ranked as high as any team in the league, and we all understand building resumes to get into the NCAA tournament, and I do think that one of the reasons that you know, the off season was something they've never dealt with all the hype coming into the season. But the fact that I think that we had such a great non-league schedule over the years, they've been into a lot of different tough situations, and I think they've learned from a lot of it. I think they're going to continue to learn some things this year. But we've got to continue to get better. And but we as a coaching staff, I think that, you know, being an older staff and the experience that we have, I do think that, or like to think that we try to make sure they stay grounded on the main things and understand it's about us getting better, and we have to do that. And that's not, again, I'll say it's not coach talk, coach speak. I mean, that's the bottom line. We've got to figure out after the game against Florida, we talked about the good stuff, the bad stuff, and some of the ugly stuff, but then we also talked talked about how we've got to get better, so we've got to do that today along with getting ready for a really good Arkansas team. And so that's why you don't want any distractions. You just want to stay focused on the main thing. And I will give the guys credit for that because I do think we've done a good job with that. Can we do better? Yes. But overall, I think they've done a good job of staying focused on what's at hand.
Rick, do you feel like Grant learned a lot from fouling out against Gonzaga and Kansas against really good post? And how much do you think that'll help him tomorrow against Daniel Gafford?
You know, I like to think he's going to learn each time he goes out and build on that experience. But Grant is understanding that teams are going to come after him defensively. They're going to make him guard. I mean, very first play of the game against Florida, they started 4 guards and throw the ball to the basket for a layup. And so I think he's understanding that. I think he's learning a lot about a lot of things. And Grant still can get better, and he knows it. He knows he has to, and as long as he'll continue with that process, he'll be fine. As long as it's when guys get to where they think they've got all the answers when it's, bad things are happening. And I don't think we have a team that thinks that way. I don't think Grant thinks that way because one thing we know, that film doesn't lie. And we know that as a coaching staff and his team, when we go in that film room, we point out the obvious that we expect each of us to get better and him to get better. And I think he knows that. He's got to get better. Whether he's fouled out, and he's fouled out a couple times, but and some of those fouls are because he's just not ready early. He doesn't do his work early, and he's playing catch up.
Lewis, Rob, and Corey.
Admiral seems to be constantly making clutch back to the shots. Admiral always seems to be around the ball in clutch situations this year, whether it be Gonzaga, that 3 against Florida. Why do you think he's able to have success in those very serious nights against the enemy?
Well, the one against Gonzaga, obviously, we came out of the timeout knowing that's where the ball was going to go. The other day, we put the ball in Grant's hand, and he had scored previous on that little isolation there at the elbow, and it was up to him to make the play. And he had 4 guys that he could have chosen to pass the ball to, and he made in that situation, really a terrific pass. But when you think in those situations, when it goes back to practice, again, I mean, you look at the stroke that Admiral put on that ball from the corner, it was very similar to the same stroke he put on the ball at Gonzaga, and that comes through his work, his repetition in practice. He'll be there, he'll be in there today, before, after, working on what he does. And so that's where the hard work, you like to see it pay off. And but Grant made a terrific pass to get that ball to him, and obviously it's a big play in the game.
Coach, just how much more flexibility has Lamonte given you, and where does he make the biggest impacts?
I'm not sure we would have won any of these games in the league, Rob, to be honest with him, because his presence, the fact that we've been able to play 3 guards, and last year that's how we closed most games with what we had on the court, with Admiral and Grant inside and those 3 guards out there last year. We haven't been able to do that much, and the reason we have them out there because we all, when Grant made that move, there's 4 guys that have the ability to make a shot. And if it's not a wide open shot, they can go get one, create one. But I think Lamonte's defensively, I think we're going to get better defensively because of having him out there. Because when he really wants to lock in, he is really a good defensive player. I think Lamonte, if he wanted to, could be one of the best defensive guards in the country. If he could focus on it and stay with it. He sometimes gets too anxious and tries to steal the ball, but when he's really locked in, he's really a good defender. And we need him to do that. And by him doing that, it's going to help Jordan Bone, it's going to help Jordan Bowden. But we need him. And I said that going in when we didn't have him, even when we were winning. I said, for us to get where we want to go, we need Lamonte, and there's no question we do.
Coach, Jordan Bone is quickly becoming known as one of the better point guards in the country. I guess my question is, what have you guys done as a coaching staff to try to get him to sort of break out of his shell this year?
Well, I don't know if it's breaking out of his shell because he's had some games in the past. The word is consistency. Like I thought, you look at his numbers the other day at Florida, they weren't number-wise would be one of his better games, but I thought he played a really good floor game. I thought he really, for as much as he had to handle the ball with him trying to slow us down, trap, and do this or that, I thought he really, for the most part, had to play. He played the entire first half, and but I think he's starting to understand more and more what it's about. That's why he's got a chance to be so much better. He's understanding the offense more. He's understanding how to make his teammates better. still is learning to really fight through fatigue, which he couldn't have done what he did Saturday a year ago if he had to. That's where he's improved with his physical stamina, and he's really starting to think the game for the first time. And if he can continue to do that, who knows how good he can do.
David, Jimmy, and Steve.
Rick, this time of year, we still have a couple months, how often do you talk about just the tournament as a thing? And what kind of, how often are you doing things in practice? Or you're thinking about the tournament in mind or impacting the team 2 months down the line?
I don't think again, we know that's the goal. I mean, that's the goal of every team in the country. I'm not sure we talk so much about it. We don't talk so much about the tournament. We don't. What we talk about is college basketball. You know, we talk about things that happened this week, where, you use example of other teams have big wins, have letdowns, teams that have 2 big wins have a letdown, and there's always examples right in front of them that are current. But I don't think we're living in the future right now. I think we're talking about our team and how each guy needs to get better individually, and what that does to help us collectively as a group. But again, everyone wants to be in that tournament. But we just try to stay as focused as we can on, like, today's a big day for us. We've got to get ready to work on some things we didn't do well Saturday, and along with game preparation for Arkansas. And so it's just a matter of really staying so locked in the next game in front of you that you hope and if you do what you're supposed to do, the end of the year will take care of itself.
Rick, a couple things on Arkansas. One, how good is Daniel Gatlin?
I think it's terrific. I mean, this last game out, a year ago at their place, I just love what he's about. I love his hands. I love his quick bounce off the floor. He catches the ball, and he's really a terrific player. He really is, and it's going to be a challenging matchup. Certainly, Kyle will have to deal with that. John Fulkerson, Derek, Grant, we all will. And but when he gets the ball, and he does a good job in tight spaces. Like I said, I love his first and second jump. It's going to be a challenge for us.
Last year, a couple of their guards, Macon and Barfield, combined for 61 points. They're not there anymore. Your assessment of Arkansas's guards?
Well, I think we all know when you play with young guards, some nights you know what you're going to get, some nights you don't. And I just have so much respect for Mike Anderson and how hard his team plays and how he believes so much in his system that they're going to always, when I think of them being in a attack mode where they're going to come at you defensively, they're going to come at you on the offensive end. They're terrific at open court plays. If they turn you over, they do a tremendous job of converting those situations. And he's got guards that he's watching from where they were to where they are now through the season. They've continued to get better, and I think they will. Again, we've been young before, and we know what that's like. And we know that I can go back to some times when Jordan Bone was a freshman. He had some spectacular games where you knew he could do it, and you want him to do it night in and night out. And it's taken him 2 years to get to that point where he's more consistent. And I think coaches with young guards know that you go through some of those growing pains. And Arkansas has had to do that, and that's just something as coaches that you have to deal with.
Obviously, that Florida game went down to the wire, but your first 2 SEC games kind of lopsided scores. I'm just wondering, what's your rule of thumb in terms of when you decide to empty your bench, when you think it's safe to kind of put the.
Well, I'm one of those guys. I've seen too much in my lifetime. Like this last week, UCLA Oregon game. It was a 10-point game. And I think momentum's a big part of it. I think knowing your players, feeling our body language as a team and our focus, but with the 3-point line, and you go back to the Missouri game. Within a matter of a couple plays, Admiral throws the ball away, and so you as a coach, I'm telling you, never feel good till you know it's over. And but I don't know if I have a rule of thumb what we're going to do, other than each game would be more of a field type thing, where I think we are and where the game is.
Troy, Wes, and Gene.
Rick, just how is Zach progressing through his injury and all that?
He's working his way back into something. He's not back into full practice yet, and he needs to do that as quickly as he can. But he hasn't practiced obviously for a long time. But he's starting to do some some things that starting to get back into the 5-on-5.
Okay. I think other than maybe y'all being at the top of the league, there seems to be, I know it's early, but there seems to be some surprises in the SEC. Some teams that have won their first few games, some teams that have struggled. Have you been able to see much of the league at all to this point? And what are your thoughts on it?
Well, my thoughts were what I started the year with. I thought last year was a great year for us, and I said I thought this year would be better. And I'm not surprised at any of it. I go back, I've got so much respect for the coaches in this league. And then, you never know what goes on with every team because you don't know the injuries within, you don't know this, that, or whatever. But I don't know if I would say I'm surprised about anything because of the fact that our staff has so much respect for the league. And you look around and really, I'm not surprised. I just think we're weak in it, and I think it's going to be an exciting year for SEC basketball. But I really haven't studied it in depth at any of them. But again, where I see scores, I'm not surprised.
Rick, just how much of a luxury is it that down the stretch in tight games that you've got 5 guys that you can put on the court that have the experience in those moments?
Well, it is. I mean, that's what, coaches always talk about getting older and having that type of experience. And where you see it more probably than actually on the court is during timeouts, where they come to the bench and they're locked in. I mean, they know they are truly locked in. Like, I'll give you an example. The other against Florida, we ran the isolation play for Grant. He scored it. And we came back and we were talking. Okay, this time down the floor, and he just simply said it with authority. Let me have the ball there, and I'll make the right play. That's where I think the experience shows up. And the fact that, to be honest with you, in that game as a coaching staff, we're sitting there thinking, we know what Admiral's meant to our team, but prior to Admiral going back into that game, John Fulkerson was playing great. I mean, he was doing some big-time things for us out there when you could tell he was so locked in. And then, but we know, okay, Admiral's been out there. We know we had to get another score on the floor, but it goes back to where we're thinking about that. Do we really leave Admiral on the bench and keep Fulkes out there because he's playing so well? But obviously, we did the right thing there because Grant saying, let me have the ball there and I will make the right play. And he did. And that, I think, is when the experience really starts showing up. It's whether this guy can make a shot, that guy can make a shot. They were all on the same page in terms of knowing this is what we need to do.
Coach, you guys were in the same boat last week with Arkansas playing Saturday. They have to travel on Tuesdays. How tough is that when the SEC has its schedule set up?
It is. It's a tough turnaround. It is. To do that. But I mean, we all coaches have their routines, and right now, I was really concerned a little bit about the Florida game because our routine from our Christmas break had changed, but with school starting back, and now our guys go from probably the Christmas break routine to now they're back in school, and you can tell they're a little bit out of sync a little bit. And we actually, when we got to the hotel the other night, because the plane was late picking us up here, we were concerned whether or not, I think we got there at 9:30, and Garrett and Chad do a lot with the guys in the rooms with their bodies the night before a game, and we thought, well, maybe we shouldn't even do our night before meeting, and but the guys said, no, let's do it. And so again, we trust them to do that, and I think this time of year you've got to have the routine that we have. Sometimes it has to be changed, and sometimes I like to change it just to see if we can handle the change. But you come back and playing Saturday, and you have to get. You obviously, some teams might take a day off. We didn't do anything on the court yesterday, but we did our routine. We came in, watched film, and worked out in the weight room with Garrett. Worked on their bodies. Today will be a practice. It can't be a long one. And then we'll play Tuesday, but ideally, would you like to play on Wednesday? That'd be a good question to ask the players. I don't know if they'd rather have a midweek game off, or a day off in the middle of the week or Sunday. But Wednesday will be our day off. But it is a quick turnaround, but that's why you go back to those early season tournament games where you really have to do it on no prep. You just walk through a ballroom somewhere and do those type things. So every coach, every program have their methods of doing it, and traveling can be tough. Obviously, we saw it happen with Missouri, getting to South Carolina. That's when it all gets, where you get concerned about the weather, those type of things too.
Finish up with Wes.
I know that coaches never really like comparing players to previous players or teams to previous teams, but with, I guess with the culture of this team, with, being so many upperclassmen on this team, guys who kind of understand each other, the chemistry with this bunch, the way they push each other, how unique is the situation that you've kind of built here with these guys, this nucleus of guys here?
Well, first of all, I think they built it, because I think that they bought into what is trying to get done. I think we've got guys that really do have a passion for the game. They love it, and the fact that they built it. I mean, when we first got here, I said before, there was terrific coaches before us, but we were able to. Once we got the culture going the way that we wanted, not that the culture was bad with anybody else, the way we wanted to do it, and the fact that Admiral, Kyle Alexander, Kevin Punter, and Lamonte Turner were guys that bought into it, and the fact of the matter is we got some guys, I don't know if Kyle was a gym rat, but Admiral was a gym rat, Lamonte was a gym rat, Kevin Punter was a gym rat, and then Kyle came in and saw what those guys were doing, and he bought into it, and then the next year it just kept growing, and it's gotten more and more where we have more and more guys that really, they put so much time and work into it, and the fact that they do compete and practice some days, and it's really, when we're at our best is when Derek and Folky and Lamonte, and again, we miss Lamonte for that point too, because he's a very competitive person, but it's great in practice when they go at each other because they know that we need them all. They know there's going to be a point in time this year where it's already happened. It happened at Missouri when Grant and Admiral played arguably the worst half of basketball since they've been together, and those other guys came in and got control of the game and got us the lead at halftime. And so they're all invested in it, and they all want to play. Believe me, the guys that aren't playing as much want to play more, but as long as they'll keep that hunger and knowing that they put the team first, we can continue to get better.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.